This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
Sitting at home, just chatting about the pandemic, as you do, as is the topic of conversation every day,
all day, every day.
But we were thinking, what are people with like side people doing?
I thought about this recently too,
and like also like, what if your side person didn't know that you were married?
Ooh.
Like, how are you balancing that?
Shit.
Like, what are these people doing?
Up.
Are they having to come clean? How are they balancing it? How are they keeping the secret?
Yeah, because it's not like you can be like, oh, I have to travel for work. Because they're like, no, you don't.
Well, secret families. Ooh,
yeah, what are secret families doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because you can't leave the house. Everybody is like quarantined. And if you didn't know that the person you're seeing was married.
Wait, maybe that's why all these people are protesting. All those people out there protesting about like, you can't keep us locked up. Or all like, my second wife doesn't know about this.
Exactly. My second family is wondering where I am. But yeah, because like if the person you're dating is married.
Yeah.
And you don't know that, then at the beginning of this, you might be like, hey, we're about to go into lockdown. Why don't you come stay with me? We'll quarantine together so that we can be together, because you think it's your boyfriend,
like,
right?
No.
I can't.
And you're like, why?
I'm going to stay with my mom.
Yeah, actually, it's funny, like, because Handyman and I are still friends. He's like, I am so happy that you found somebody and that you weren't like alone during this, because he's like, if we had still been like dating or whatever, it really would have messed me up. The fact that like, like, what do you do? Like,
you can't go see.
You can't go see. You can't do that.
I mean, I did tell you about, I'm not going to go into like too much detail because it's someone else's business, but I told you about the person who was like every Saturday, they're in Ohio, and like every Saturday at the beginning of this pandemic was like, I'm going to go spend Saturday nights. I'm going to have sleepovers with my girlfriend every Saturday night throughout this pandemic. And she's like in her 40s, and she's like, I'm going to go have girls' night sleepovers every Saturday, leave my 3 kids and husband at home. And then it turned out that it was a boyfriend she was seeing.
I mean, I don't know this mess.
I don't know this mess either.
You do. I've told you guys.
I don't remember this.
We will talk at the break, but you 100% know what I'm talking about.
Ooh-wee.
You 100% know. But yeah, she's like, I'm having sleepovers every Saturday. And the person who told me about it was like, that's suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
That is super weird. And her husband was just like, okay, honey, have fun during a fucking pandemic.
Wait.
Oh, no.
No, wait.
And then she asked him like a couple months later, she was like, you need to get your shit and get out. Her husband, because she had been seeing her boyfriend the entire time.
Oh, she made her husband get out. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is drama. Oh, drama.
Oh, ooh-wee.
There's like a Facebook group post by somebody who was just like, oh, I totally had to sweep the grass today. I was like, I want that detail. She's like, no, I actually had to sweep grass. Like, and I was like, oh.
That's not. I saw that post too, and I was just like, ooh, exciting. What happened? Is like no drama.
God damn it. Wow.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Dude, what about that other post on our Facebook group that was, and I'm trying to find it right now, that was like, a list of questions, like, is it cheating or not cheating?
Shit.
Yes,
did you see that?
I sent that to you.
Oh
Guys,
my God.
it's so, hold on one second, because I think it's
really good.
It is. It's like an article. Hold on one second. Here are 10 different relationship scenarios. Do you think they're considered cheating?
I think we had to get through them.
Deep dive.
So this is BuzzFeed, and it's a quiz. And the answers consist of basically, yes, this is cheating. It's not cheating, but it's definitely sketchy. And no, it's not cheating. Okay. So scenario number 1. Don has been dating his girlfriend Amy for 2 years. Whenever his ex Lily is in town, they meet for dinner. They never hook up. Don doesn't tell Amy about these dinners. Is this cheating?
It's not cheating, but it's sketchy.
Same.
Yeah, because
if you have nothing to hide,
then
exactly.
fucking say so. Yeah, what do I care?
I have no problem actually with people maintaining friendships with people that they dated or whatever, especially depending on the situation. But if I was going to do that, I would never actively hide it from my significant other.
I think the act of hiding it just makes you look suspicious.
It does.
And even though you don't hook up when they come to town, it means to me, like, it's not just about the physical cheating. It's the also emotional aspect of it. So it makes me have
clearly you feel
questions.
guilty, or you would tell your partner.
Right.
So clearly, like, you feel like there's an issue there. And if it's, to be honest, like, if it was something that really upset your partner, and you're like, I didn't tell you because I knew that you would get really upset. Well, that's a problem too.
It is.
Yeah, because
and
then
also
there's
the question
trust issues in your relationship.
That's right. And the question really to me is, Dawn, do you feel like that's cheating because you are hiding it?
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, is that, lies aren't just, lies that you say, like, there's that lies of omission.
Absolutely.
Not saying something is as much a lie.
Well,
Absolutely.
and you're probably making up something to tell your wife because if you're not coming home and you're going out to dinner, like, what are you telling her you're doing? You're probably telling her something. You're telling her you're working late. You're telling her you're having dinner with someone else. You have to be, because I know for me, if Anthony didn't come home till late, I would be texting him like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Like, working late? Like,
this is weird. What's happening? Yeah,
exactly.
Do I need to save you some meatloaf? Like, what's going on?
Some meatloaf.
Oh my God, I haven't had meatloaf.
I made
in a
meatloaf
minute.
last week. That's why I was thinking about it.
All right. So Marshall borrows his boyfriend Barney's phone to make a quick call. While he's using his phone, Marshall notices a bunch of pics from other guys saved to his camera roll. Barney says it's okay because he's never done anything physical. Is this cheating?
Are these pictures that were sent to him? Like, can we presume that? Or did he find these pictures on the internet?
It's just in his camera roll, saved to his camera roll. So I don't know. It doesn't say that there's screenshots.
Oh.
But it doesn't say.
If there's, let's assume there's screenshots.
Okay.
There's screenshots of hot dudes on
Instagram.
the, yeah, exactly. That he's saving to his camera roll. I don't think it's cheating.
No.
Because I feel like that's like a
material. It's like watching porn.
A porn thing. Yeah.
I don't think that's cheating. If it's a result of having texted someone and they sent you those photos, that to me is cheating.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I don't love the idea of finding a bunch of pictures on my husband's phone, though.
I don't like that either. It would make you feel not good.
Yeah, I don't like it. I sure don't like it. I feel like there's a fight there.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel
as
like
somebody that literally like would sit on the couch with an ex while they scrolled like suicide girls on Instagram and stuff, and like actively looked at like not porn, because it's not porn, but just like hot chicks on the internet, like right next. It doesn't make you feel good. It definitely doesn't make you feel good about yourself.
I don't like that.
I don't like it.
And it's not something I would ever think to do in front of, like, for porn. Porn is like me time or whatever. And I'm like, I'm never going to do that in front of
That's what
Eric.
I was going to say. It's, to me, it's not cheating if they were just screenshots or some IG model or something like that. It's not cheating, but it is like, it's weird to have them saved to your phone, because that looks like you need easy access to these photos for why? Like, because I agree, if it's something like porn or whatever, you are doing that at a specific time for a specific purpose, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you need to be exposed to these images all the time. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
I don't love it.
Yeah, and it's saved to your phone. That means you
Right.
You know what I mean?
Access
like,
to it.
Yeah, I don't have anything pornographic really saved to my
Agreed.
phone. You know, when I need it, there's easy access to lots of it.
So much.
So why do I have to have it saved to my camera roll? It's weird. Yeah. I don't love it.
I don't love it.
So yeah, I think he's probably a dick, but is he cheating? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not cheating, but it's definitely sketchy.
Yeah.
Allison and Emily are happily engaged. Allison is a real nerd and likes to role play fictional characters online. Sometimes she'll role play sexy scenarios with other people online, but only in the form of a character. Is this cheating?
Yes, I think it is. I am like, that's me. Words of affirmation, my primary love language, and to me, like, I think it's cheating because the form of love that I need the most, that I crave the most, is that verbal or written engagement. And so if you're giving that to somebody else, that I don't like. I personally, like, is it cheating per se? Like, no,
like,
but to
unquote,
me,
right?
I would take it as cheating. I would be very upset by that.
I think it would be hard. I do think it would be hard to separate out in those kinds of scenarios. I think it's hard to separate out your character from who you are. Now, like, as somebody who's been an actor for a long time, is it really any different than like being on stage?
How would it be then if you were in a play with somebody else?
Yeah.
And you guys are texting back and forth as your characters, and you started sexting.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
cool.
the same. It's
You're
the
right.
same thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there have to be parameters on that kind of thing. Like, I'm with you. I definitely wouldn't like it. And I watched the. Did you guys ever watch that documentary about Second Life? That show.
Yes.
Dude,
And-
well, I know enough people that were in.
And that
Yeah,
shit.
you
But there were the people who like. That's what it makes me think of, because
Where they like
developed,
get married in the game
and they have
shit like
sex
that.
in the game and
Yeah.
things like that. And they developed. I think it would be hard if you're doing that sort of thing consistently, not to develop like actual, real emotional ties.
Yeah.
If you're doing it consistently over a period of time, and if there's an emotional aspect to it, then yeah, it's cheating.
Well, for me, there's no way to do something like that without it there being an emotional aspect. And I think that's why I take it as hard as I do, because I am, in my heart of hearts, a Civil War bride or whatever that used to write to
My dearest Henrietta.
exactly, where I'm like, one of the things that made me like fall head over heels for Eric were like the text conversations that we used to have before we even like talked
I
on
will
the
say,
phone, where I'm
yes,
like,
if I found text conversations that seemed intimate, not even sexual, but just like if you guys were having deep emotional conversations late into the night, that would probably hurt me more than knowing that you kiss somebody else. Like if I knew that like you were having like real emotional, deep emotional connections with someone that wasn't me, that's way more hurtful.
Which takes me to the next one, because, and I have to do this. There's like 10 of them. I'll do this one as the last one though.
Yeah.
It's so fucking brilliant that this question had to be written by like a 12-year-old.
Oh,
Okay.
God. All right.
John and his girlfriend Serena go to a party. While Serena's outside, John plays a game of spin the bottle with the rest of the group. Serena walks in on him kissing another girl. John says it's part of the game. Is this cheating?
Why didn't you come get me, first of all? Like, if this is going to be above board, it seems sketch to me that you did this shit while I was outside having a cigarette or whatever.
right. When is the last time anyone played Spin the Bottle? I can't even remember.
Thank you. That's my head.
I remember the last time I played Spin the Bottle, and I was like 17. Like, that's how long ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what adult party, or like to me, that's like, this
We're
is the
gonna do
most
suck
teenage.
and blow.
Okay.
Like, 7 minutes in heaven.
So put us in the mind we're all 17.
Okay.
This is
Oh,
a
if I was
question
17,
for
I would have taken
17.
his head off. Are you
Yeah,
kidding
done.
me?
We're done.
Yeah,
We're done.
it's cheating.
It's done.
Done.
Yeah, no, it's
at 17, I would have lost my shit.
Listen.
Everyone at that party, it would have been like when we watched Love is Blind and like Gianna and Damien like went at it in front of all their friends.
Yes.
That's what it would have been like. You all would have
I
been
had
so
forgotten about
uncomfy.
that until you said
Thank
that.
you.
Oh my god!
You all would have been so uncomfortable
How
while
many times
I fucking...
did she call him a motherfucker?
Yes.
Oh god! Can I go
Amazing.
back in time and watch that show again?
No
'Cause
shit, that
Good
was-
lord!
I just want. I'm sure someone on YouTube has put like a master clip, like reel of just
Them fighting.
The drama.
fighting.
Yes.
That's really all I want to see. I just want to see
Just
those
a
two.
roundup.
You know what? I don't want to hear Jessica's voice again, though. Her baby
Jessica.
voice.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay. So I was going to save this for the end, but I actually have watched other things that I want to talk about. But So to continue on with Anthony and I being absolute psychopaths in quarantine,
Right.
we watched You Should Have Left. Now,
I should not watch it.
You Should Have Left had Kevin Bacon and his wife,
And
Amanda Seyfried.
I was like, I thought
also,
you meant,
is that like a 40-year age gap?
No
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
I was going to say, okay, so Amanda
Kevin
Seyfried.
Bacon and his daughter, Amanda Seyfried.
Right.
What?
She is 34. As an actress, she is 34. Can you guess how old Kevin Bacon is?
He's like 55 at least, at the very min.
Oh,
bare
he's,
mins.
he's 60.
He is 62.
Oh, shit.
Which leads me to
Father,
my next
told
part
you.
of this. Yeah, and they have like a 7-year-old in the movie, and I'm like, I mean, luckily it is addressed quite often that he's much older than her. Like, it's not like something that they just expected us to be like, this is fine.
This is fine.
But I have to be honest. I've never thought I like Kevin Bacon as a
love
performer.
Kevin Bacon.
I like him a lot.
I think he's sexy.
I've never thought that he was super attractive.
Wrong.
However,
Totally sexy.
However,
However.
I was a little shook because, like, as a 62-year-old man,
Yeah.
he looks actually great.
Dude, I
Delicious.
am here for Kevin Bacon.
Same.
He looks good in this movie. Like, he took off his shirt and he still has like abs. He looks really good.
Who's he married to? Kira Sedgwick? I'm
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
like,
Hot couple.
dude, couple goals for
Same.
reals.
For real.
Though.
They are
Yeah.
they are fifth
So
cousins,
hot.
but still, it doesn't matter.
Did you say they're what?
They're fifth cousins.
Oh,
I thought you said they're fit cousins. I was
No,
like,
you're
wait, what?
no. Fifth cousins don't even count. It's like
No.
you don't even, what, you
Yeah.
have like a great-great-grandparent, great-great-great-grandparent in common,
Somewhere.
something like
Yeah.
that.
And they're like, that person's an uncle to.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. But so that made me think because I was like a little shook at how good he actually looks. Like I'm like if I'm 62 and I'm still looking like that good, I will count myself super fucking lucky.
Right.
So it made me think like let's do Kevin Bacon roles.
Okay.
oh my God. Yeah.
Right?
Oh my
I
God.
gotta think of some now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
I mean, you got
Footloose,
Footloose.
of course, Tremors.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love Tremors. I haven't seen it in forever. Isn't Reba McEntire in
Yes,
that?
I watched
Yes.
it like
Ugh.
I watched it like 2 months ago.
That's
I'll go
so
with
funny.
Kevin Bacon in Tremors because it's like him as a cowboy in some Wranglers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not for me.
I'm going to, let's see.
He's in Mystic River. I want to go with Flatliners because I think he was sexy in
Flatliners,
that.
Tremors, and Footloose.
I think those
Okay.
are good ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and they're kind of like peak Kevin Bacon. They're
Yeah,
when he
right.
was like at his height.
His
Okay.
cheekbones could cut glass, dude.
They could. And I will say, like, I never thought that Kevin Bacon was like, ooh, the hottest guy I've ever seen. But he does have a really cute butt in jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Like in Footloose. Like, I'm like, there's a reason why they had some close-ups.
He also always looks like fun. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like harmless fun, not like this
Yeah.
might turn into trouble. He just looks like a
Yes.
fun person.
Yeah,
Like,
he looks like kind of he reminds me very much of his character in Footloose, where it's just like your dad doesn't want you to date him, but he's not really like a dangerous guy.
Right.
No,
Right.
yeah.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
He just wants to
fun.
dance.
He
Yeah.
just wants to have some
Just wants to
fun,
dance.
right?
That's
Yeah,
all.
he just wants to,
He
cut
doesn't want to
loose,
shoot.
Footloose, you know?
He doesn't want to shoot people. He just wants to like cut loose.
Yeah. But you know what's funny about him though is that like he plays characters like that, or he plays like
bad guy.
scary bad douchebag.
like
It's so
really
true.
scary.
Like-
he is able to flip that like switch to shark eyes really well.
And he does
Yeah.
it often in movies. Like
Yeah.
if you saw when we were just talking about Stir of Echoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw that.
I feel like I've seen that too.
Yeah, it sounds super familiar, but I can't pull the
The thing about
synopsis
Stir
in
of
my
Echoes
head.
and the reason why it lives on in my memory forever and ever and always is because there's a scene where someone is trying to like claw out
Yes.
and their fingernails snap off. And I was like,
shit. I know what you're talking about now.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was like,
I
Yes.
remember it came out around the same time as Sixth Sense. Oh my god. It's not
The
haunted,
ghost.
It's just fucked up.
oh my god, we're like talking about ghosts and like the blind just rolled all the way up. Oh my god, that was so scary. Anyway, okay, so we got Footloose, harmless, fun, kind of bad boy, but he's not gonna get you arrested.
Yeah.
We've got Tremors. He is a cowboy wearing a cowboy hat and Wranglers.
I'm going to marry him in Tremors because I want to put my hands on that fine ass and eat some barbecue ribs with him.
And you get to hang out with
God.
Reba McEntire.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we've done Reba before.
And
I
the
fucking
last
love
time
Reba.
We did Reba. It's because I had just watched Tremors, and she is a badass in that movie.
Yeah.
So I support that choice for you. I love that journey
Shia
for
LaBeouf
you.
in Tremors?
Huh?
Is he really?
wait.
He had to have been
No,
like
no.
one.
Holes.
Holes.
Is
That's
what
what
you're
it is. Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the third one was
Flatliners.
Yes.
Gosh, I haven't seen Flatliners in like a million years. Can
Techie.
anyone refresh me on his character in that?
I can't refresh you on his character, but what I remember about Flatliners is it's kind of like a techie.
Right, it's
like
it's
they
a
have
bunch of
to
scientists
die
who
to,
are
like, come back or
Right.
something. It's some weird.
Yeah, that's why I keep getting it mixed up in my head with Sleepers. But yeah, from what I remember. Okay, so he's an atheist in it, is seeking answers about the afterlife. Chicago medical student Nelson, who's played by Kiefer Sutherland, persuades his fellow pupils to help him end his life, then resuscitate him in the nick of time. Atheist David, Kevin Bacon, Playboy Joe, William Baldwin, and troubled Rachel, Julia Roberts, also journey into the unknown, looking for meaning in their own lives. As the experiments become more perilous, each is forced to contend with the paranormal consequences of trespassing on the other side.
I feel like I need to rewatch this
Yeah.
movie. This sounds like I'm interested in this
Joel
movie.
Schumacher directed.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go.
Okay, so we've got kind of like a sci-fi atheist scientist in Flatliners. Okay.
Exactly. You know what? I think I'm going to have to kill that Flatliners because I don't need these demons following me into some other like hellscape. I'm good. 2020 has taught me one thing. I don't need to choose to live dangerously.
Yeah, don't tempt fate.
I'd rather
I'm good.
have fun and go dancing
Yeah.
with
Footloose.
with Footloose guy. And I'm like, you know, to be honest, like I am the person that would probably love to sit and talk about like the science behind
Right.
it and but 2020, you're exactly right, where I'm just like, I got enough fucking problems in my life right now. Let's just put on some good music and dance and
Yeah.
fuck.
And
I don't
flat-
need to have a conversation about if God exists.
Yeah.
I got
Not in
99
2020.
problems in flatlining
all
in
right.
one.
Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. I think it's gonna be a little different than from what you guys do. I'm actually gonna marry Footloose. Kevin Bacon.
yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna marry him because he seems like the most fun. He seems
the
like
most Anthony
Yeah.
of the
He
group,
is
actually.
the most
yes,
Anthony.
for sure. He's gonna fight for you. He's gonna dance with you, which
Yeah, he
y'all
is.
know how much I love, like just dancing.
Yep.
I think,
Yep.
like I'm on board. I
I
this.
love that journey for you.
We are going to move out of that small repressed Baptist town,
Yes.
and we are going to move into the city and enjoy the nightlife and have a great fucking time. So
Yep.
I am going to marry him. I am actually, just out of curiosity, gonna fuck Flatliners.
Oh.
I'm gonna fuck
Okay.
him because I feel like we could have a really interesting conversation. It only
I mean,
has
you're
to be
definitely fucking to like Massive Attack or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? You're going to have that like
Fantagram.
deep cerebral sex.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Which, you know what? I'm on board for it. For
Yes.
like one time,
Yes.
we're going to go on a date. We're going to drink a bunch of like whiskey and red wine. And he's going to tell me about the afterlife, which I'm like, for a date, great. It's going to be a great story for the podcast. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm on board with it. And then also, yes, I feel like fucking somebody who has died once, they are going to... It's going to be deep.
It's gonna be
right?
deep.
This shit
Yeah.
is going to be like deep. And so I'm like, okay, for one time, I don't have to live with them for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Right? Just one time, I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, as much as I love, I think Kevin Bacon in Tremors is hilarious. I do. I think he's so funny, and I do think he's cute in Tremors. But, couple things. Can't marry him because wherever they are, I think it's somewhere in Nevada, which, as someone who grew up in Las Vegas, I understand. But, like, it looks like skin cancer. Like, there is no
No
coverage.
shade.
And it is hot and dusty. It
Yeah.
looks dusty. Like heat, I can take it, but we have pools, okay?
Yeah.
We have air conditioning. This does not look like that. It looks like you're always going to have a very thin film of dust on
And
your sweaty
sweat.
body
all
the time. So,
Can we move? That's my question.
I mean, yeah, I moved with Footloose, guys.
That's right.
Yes, but I feel like Kevin Bacon and Tremors wouldn't be happy anywhere except like in the great
Outdoors.
That seems like
Yeah.
his type. So I'm gonna kill him, not because I don't have love for him, but just because he's the odd man out.
Yeah.
In this
Yeah.
scenario.
That makes sense.
I think that I'm going to stick with my original answer, which is I'm going to have to kill the Flatliners. I don't know enough about you. I don't need those demons following me into 2020. You're dude, you do you. I'm gonna be over here hanging out with my husband from Footloose that you've convinced me this is not. Because in my head I was like, oh, he lived his best life that 1 year and he's gonna try to relive that moment forever. He peaked in high school.
He could have.
And
that's the risk you take with Footloose Kevin Bacon.
it is, but I do agree. I think he's the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I'm getting out of this one horse town and we're gonna go live in the city, and that convinced me he's the one for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm gonna fuck the funny dude from Tremors.
You know what?
'cause
He would
I'm
be the
here for
one.
it.
He would be the one you fuck like on
Yeah.
your way to another town.
You're
you're
a
like
stopover.
You're stopped over in this
You
small
stop.
town.
You stop at you have one of those motels, and then the bar next to the motel.
Yeah.
You go to have a drink.
He
and
teaches
he's
you
in
how
there.
to play pool.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Oh
Yes.
my god. And then
Actually,
you have a
wait,
wild
What
night
the
in that
Roadhouse
motel.
movie are you guys building here?
That sounds fun, actually. To be honest, like
That
that does
does.
that sounds like a good time, right? It's just like
Yeah.
one night.
Yeah.
You will never see him again. You don't even
Wow.
give him your phone number.
Speaking of Roadhouse, we've got to do Patrick Swayze at some point.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Okay.
See, how about you?
No, I'm gonna marry the Tremors guy.
Okay.
There's just something I like. He's just funny,
You like
sarcastic. I like that rugged thing. I think we'd have fun barbs back and forth. I see a lot of barbecue in our future,
Yes.
and just those jeans, those jeans,
On
jeans,
and off.
and then I'm going to fuck the Footloose dude.
Okay.
Because
He's
I
Footloose.
just think it would be fun. It would be fun, and I feel like it would be like outdoors. I feel like he's the type of person that would
Kind of
Yeah.
maybe want to get caught,
Yeah.
but not get
yes,
caught.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is laying out a flannel blanket
Yeah.
on the grass.
it's
Yeah.
somewhere. The Footloose dude is like outside,
He would pack you a picnic too. He's that type. I can tell.
and then I've got to kill. Like I have enough questions and science and stuff like that for two
You're like, I
people.
don't
Like,
need
dating another me is not something I'm interested in at all. And the whole demon thing,
Nah.
like
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Your vagina could become a portal to
Oh, no.
another dimension, which I don't know.
No.
I'll report back.
no.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yes, please. Yeah, you're the person
Why don't
that
you send us an
lived
email?
with a
Don't come
ghost
close.
like for a year. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely
not
Wow.
okay with that. So I'm like, I don't believe in God or anything like that, but I'm still not trying to test
Nah, I'm good.
fate.
No,
in
no
that
one
way.
at this table is whipping out the Ouija board.
No.
okay?
Yeah, no.
Like, we are.
Not in 2020. We're not. Not this fucking year. No,
Oh,
thank
that
you.
was a good
Pull
one.
out my sage.
Oh
I'll
man.
sage this room after this conversation.
So how was the movie then, by the
Oh,
way?
okay,
You
so,
should have left. If I was in
mean-
it, it'd be like I left.
I did leave.
I did.
actually.
I left immediately. I mean, that is always the question where you're like, things are going south pretty quickly. I feel like you guys should get the fuck out. And then also, along the lines of Eat the Rich, I'm like, why are 3 people getting a house in the country that was clearly made for like 10 people at Min's? Like the 3 of you don't
even
need this
get
giant
me
house.
started.
But the movie was okay. Like I wouldn't say it was the best thing I've seen this year. It was fine. If you're looking for something that's like kind of got a few jump scares in it, has a few jump scares in it. It has some like freaky elements. It does have the thing that it has a very kind of like Shining-esque quality where it's like the house is making everybody like act really weird. And it has something spooky to me that causes me some anxiety, which is like, no matter what you do, you can't get away from it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like you can leave and walk in circles and circles and circles and you'll come right back.
No.
You know, like that kind
I don't like
of thing.
that.
No.
I don't like
So,
that. I don't like portal stuff.
What I would recommend is we always try to decide when we're like watching movies if we want to like rent it or buy it. I would say rent it. It was like $5 to rent it at home on Vudu. Like if it's something that you're like, oh, maybe I want to watch something a little scary and I've seen everything else, like me and Anthony,
Yeah.
spend $5 and watch it. But
Cool.
yeah,
Don't buy
but
it.
it's not a buy.
Got it.
Nah.
All right.
All right.
Well, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
And we're back.
Cool. I'm going to start us off because I've got the crazy in love. This one comes from Reddit. He says, Tinder match. She seemed fairly attractive and we hit it off in some conversation. Over a few days, I wanted to meet her as she seemed great and down to earth. Suggests that we meet at a park, go for a walk, and then something to eat afterwards. She gets excited, says she knows just the place. A very old, famous bridge just north of the Metroplex.
I'm sorry. Why are we meeting on a bridge? For why? I don't understand.
I was clueless but obliged because the Google pics look like cool history. I'm like,
You know what?
I'd be there. Yeah, I'd be there.
I could totally see. But like, are you eating? Are you packing a picnic? Like, well,
no, they're going to eat afterwards.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just going on a walk or something.
Okay.
All right.
Midday, show up at the park, waiting around when someone who looks nothing like their pics comes up to me, asking me if I'm so-and-so. Turns out I got catfished and good. Not to be rude, I go for the walk because the bridge at least looked interesting.
Pause, though. You never have to not be rude in a situation where you were lied to. Like, to be honest, if it's a straight up catfish, like they were using someone else's pictures, which is kind of what this sounds like.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with, at that point, you guys have made an agreement, right? You've made a social contract.
Right.
That person you're representing yourself as such, and then you show up and you are not that.
That person has broken the social contract. So
Yep,
it's
that's
okay
right.
to continue to go on the date if you're like, I'm doing this because I want to look at the history. But I don't want people to get too wrapped up in being like, it would be rude if I left, because it's rude that they did what they did.
Yeah, exactly. So, not to be rude, I go for the walk because the bridge at least looked interesting. We're walking up to it, and she smells like she hasn't showered in a week. She's talking about something, but that Texas spring heat is amplifying that smell.
Oof.
Get to the bridge. I'm interested in it. It was built in the 1800s or something. And then she mentions its history, and I'm game. Says it's an old goat pass, and there was a goat herder that took it every day until some clan members hung him off of it.
Holy shit.
But his body disappeared, and the bridge is haunted.
I mean, TBH would be interested in a haunted bridge. I would love to go on as a first date. I actually think that that's a very creative first date idea. If you're with someone who's down, not with Cassie. If you're with me,
No, I think it'd be cool.
We've had the
daytime.
combos.
It's daytime.
It's daytime. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
We're not
Night.
getting night.
With the Ouija board.
Take me to a haunted place on our first date. I love that.
Okay, cool story, I guess. But she's more excited now more than ever that she's scratched the surface. And man, I didn't realize the void I was standing on. She starts talking about how Ghost Hunters aired here one time. It was her favorite show.
Like, also, as somebody who obviously is interested in the paranormal, watches horror movies, likes all that shit, Ghost Hunters, you guys.
Your favorite show?
Ghost Bros.
She finds the location someone on the show got force pushed by a ghost and then reenacted it.
No.
I'm about to just, tip myself right over this bridge. I'm like, this is preferable.
Bye. I've had it. My patience and kindness is paid in full, and I'm going to get out of here. I mention I've got something to do and to excuse myself, and she gets bummed until she has an idea. Give me a second, she says. She jogs down the trail like 30 feet, looks off a path, finds a branch, starts drawing in the pathway, murmuring something, throws something out of her purse.
What did we just say?
No.
What did we just say? You keep that Ouija board shit to yourself. Don't bring me into this.
Looks around the trail like she's waiting for something. I'm officially freaking the fuck out. She comes back disappointed. I asked what that was about, and she said, I tried to summon the demon that haunts the bridge.
Okay. Ma'am, this is a first date. Ma'am. This is a first date. We don't do that.
I didn't sign up for a threesome, first and foremost. Like, I ain't here trying to meet you and be Hazelbub. Like, no. You and Cthulhu can go the fuck somewhere else.
Hey, man. No, honestly, it's just rude.
Yeah, exactly.
Beyond anything else, I'm like, you need, just like sex, you need the consent of every participant involved in any kind of seance.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be in a house where you are trying to summon demons.
No,
I will let you do you, and I will politely step aside.
Right.
I like I said before, I'm like, I don't believe in it, but I don't not believe in it either. Right. I ain't here trying to fucking test shit.
There's a lot of shit we don't know about, and I've seen enough Unsolved Mysteries episodes to know that. And so while I do think it's like, oh, it can be kind of silly or whatever, I'm also not trying to I'm not trying to rock the boat.
No,
okay?
no, exactly. I'm headed back to the parking lot with or without her at this point. I don't give a fuck. She's trying to keep up, mentioning something about a cursed ceramic doll that got nailed to a post.
Goodbye.
Without shattering or some BS. I get to the car. She's like, you want to come over? No. Somehow, no, just didn't seem powerful enough. So I peeled out of there and said a prayer.
He's all crossing himself.
Coworkers thought I made it up, but I swear to God Almighty, she put fear in me. One of those times I'm glad I did it for the story, but never again.
No.
Jesus Christ. I mean,
wow.
Peace be with you, my child.
He's like, please Jesus, please Jesus.
He's got sage in his car.
As a formerly like religious person who like is not religious anymore, have you ever been in a situation where like that former like religious self resurfaces and you find yourself like saying the Lord's Prayer?
Absolutely. I'm like, please Jesus,
I know.
get me out of here.
God. Okay. 2 weeks ago, a friend of my friend wanted to take me to sushi, so I agreed to it. The guy sent someone to pick me up from my apartment.
Sent someone?
Yes. That's
driver?
fucking weird. Like, can we just... And she kind of
My driver will come grab you.
She kind of... Yeah, she kind of just like blows right past that. Like, that's not super fucking strange.
I'm like, okay, Mr. Big.
Yeah, like why are you sending a car? I don't understand.
I read a lot of books that this would take place.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is a fucking romance novel.
That's right.
This is a 50 Shades thing. Unless you're Christian Grey and you have Christian Grey money, I don't need you to send a car to pick me up. It's weird, and it's weird for you not to at least be in the car.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't like
you
it.
want me to be with a stranger. I don't want to sit in a car with a Lyft driver, let alone with whoever the fuck this is.
Right. Whoever is in your employ.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't like it. Okay,
Yeah.
but anyway. The guy sent someone to pick me up from my apartment and take me to the restaurant where we ate and chatted. It was my first time I went out with the guy alone, although his driver was still there.
What?
Why?
Driver's like, yeah, okay, I'll pick up this chick, but I want some sushi
Yeah,
too.
don't worry. I'll stay on this side of the table. Like, what? It's so strange.
This is a romance novel.
Again, she just blows right by the fact that like there's a third person on your fucking date. This is so strange.
I'm so
An
confused.
employee, nonetheless. It's weird.
I mean, is it an employee or is it just like a friend?
A friend.
It's weird. But I thought he was a cool dude. We went over to his apartment to meet his friend for something, which I assumed was a Christmas gift since Christmas was only a couple days away. I'm playing video games when his friend gets here, and my date nonchalantly pulls out a bag of meth from the drawer.
I'm sorry.
Filled with more bags of meth and hands it to him.
Oh, no.
What?
Wait, so first of all, she went back to his place to meet a friend and then just
Also
like
weird.
plays video games at his place.
Is she 18? Because it's weird to me. All of this is weird to me.
Yeah.
This is like a creepy pasta date.
Yeah, I don't love any of this
news.
so far. So some dude came and picked you up and then all
go
three
get
of you
sushi.
ate sushi and then you went back and you're playing,
To
I don't know,
give your
fucking
fri- to-
Minecraft.
And you go back, like on a first date, she must be the most chill person of all time, because if on a first date, first of all, you don't pick me up, your friend stays on the date with us the entire time, and then you tell me we need to stop back by your place so that you can give something to your friend on our date.
This isn't
sir?
somebody in their 30s and 40s.
No.
This for sure,
because I'm like, on our date, I'd be like, I'm going home, thank you very much, I will call a taxi. Goodbye.
Yeah, this is someone in their very early 20s.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, he just pulled out a bag of meth from a drawer full of bags of meth. His friend pays and leaves promptly. He goes back to teasing me about how bad I am at the game. After talking to the friend that set me up with him, I learn that he's a meth dealer who cashes in $6,000 to $8,000 a week. He's honestly a nice guy, and I had a lot of fun hanging out with the guy, but the power trip was going to come out at some point, so I called things off.
The power trip. That's the problem. That's the problem.
Not the meth. Not the fact that he is dealing $6,000 to $8,000 worth of meth per week.
Oh my God.
Meth.
No.
Which then makes me think, is the person who picked you up, is this a bodyguard of some sort? Because actually, that's not like some little small time drug dealer is like slinging a little bit of weed on the side. Like, this is somebody who $6,000 to $8,000 a week.
Listen, 6th grade me dare to keep the kids off drugs, like definitely got under my skin. And I am legitimately like, I was like the biggest square for the longest time.
Oh, yeah.
I was terrified of drugs, terrified of them. That literally would make me
it's a no.
So
for me.
scary.
I hate
so
this.
scary.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's meth
yes,
too.
Yes, it's meth. It's not weed. If he
It's
had pulled
fucking
open
weed,
a drawer,
whatever,
exactly. If he had pulled open a drawer and it was like little bags of weed in a drawer full of weed, I'd be like, meh.
Yeah.
But like meth, we've all seen Breaking Bad. Okay, nothing good can come of this.
Yeah, no.
This is not a happy ending.
Exactly.
No.
Okay,
so my story. Okay, I'm just gonna get right into it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna explain anything. I'm just gonna
right.
get right into it. There I was, 24-year-old male, freshly divorced, and not really realizing at the time just how much my ex really meant to me until the connection was gone.
Ooh, 24.
Yeah.
And
that's
we've been there too.
young.
Like, everyone's been there with a breakup too, where it's like you don't know what you got till it's gone situation.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how this sounds like it was. Me and my siblings really kind of grew up lacking in emotional sympathy, didn't really have that kind of emotional support. So at this point, going through it and going through this divorce and depression, So at this point, going through it for the first time, I really needed to get her out of my head. Fast forward 1 year after my separation, divorced really, but we hadn't done the paperwork. I try out some online dating. I meet this beautiful girl, 21, female, and we begin to talking casually. This is before COVID, so nothing is weird about meeting up with a complete stranger in the pursuit of knowing each other.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
It's great. She worked in Tampa.
God. What are we going to call pre-COVID? Is that a PC time or
PC, BC?
Exactly.
BC. AC.
It's the new
Before
BC.
Yeah.
The new BC before COVID. She worked in Tampa and I was about an hour away, but I never got to relax in Tampa before, so it sounded like a good excuse to explore around in good company. As I arrived at her job to pick her up from work, she uses public transportation, so that's why he picked her up.
Okay.
Just as a first encounter, I recognize her from a distance, and my excitement goes away a little bit because I realize she catfished me a bit. The pictures she used were apparently from her first years in college, and she's a bit older and does look a little different than she used
so
to.
pause. I know we've talked about this many times on the podcast. Don't agree with that, but to me, that's not quite the same thing as Christina's story, where it sounds like it was like a different person altogether, right? Like this is a situation where I would politely probably go on the date.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because
it's
not like
the same
a different
person.
person.
Somebody that's the thing. It's rough. As somebody that literally this happened to quite frequently, like I got catfished so much in that it was not a different person. There was one time where I was like, God, that cannot be the same person. But most of the time it was just extremely old, outdated photos.
Which just sounds like what this is that we're talking about.
I know that this is a complete sidebar, but it's something that's been on my mind for a while, and I feel like it's a good thing to talk about. So I wanted to ask you guys, I'm genuinely concerned, and it makes me feel like an old lady, but I think about this probably every day. I'm genuinely concerned about specifically like young people growing up in this age where there's so much access to not only filters, which are fun and I use, but also Facetune, like, and not just like Facetune Pro, like the second one, where you can literally in real time, they have a thing, I tried it, you can do a video of yourself in real time. You guys can try it on my phone if you want. You can change the shape of your eyes, the distance, the size, the shape of your lips, the shape of your face. You can do that.
So weird.
And people do it a lot online, especially young people. So I imagine that this is going to be something that pops up a lot in dating, where like somebody has Facetuned their pictures on their Instagram, on their on their like dating apps and things like that.
Yeah.
To the point where when you meet them in real life,
they're unrecognizable.
they don't look like them.
Yeah.
Like it's a different form of catfishing than using old pictures or than using someone else's pictures, because they are you, but they're you altered in like a really weird way.
And how do you think that's going to play out? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and how is it going to play out for your own self-esteem too? Like, because you don't look like that.
Dude, I'm so fucking glad that I'm not like a teenager right now.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. You couldn't pay me enough money to go back to be a teenager.
Never.
Back when I was a teenager, but especially now.
Yeah.
Like,
no, thank you.
I think it's a terrible, terrible environment.
Once COVID is over, I have a feeling we are going to get a lot more emails of people going on dates where that's the case, where it's like it's clearly them, but it's weirdly not them.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
All right. But I was willing to look past it because I can still see the beauty in her that I was attracted to. We speak in the car. I waste no time for a first kiss, which is taken well because we had been really excited to meet each other. I drop her off at home and we text later to share our thoughts on the first encounter and plan our first date.
Oh, so wait. So their first encounter was him just picking her up at work and taking her home?
Yes.
21.
Okay.
23 and 21? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and she usually takes public transportation. So I think it was just kind of like one of those like, hey, let's meet. It'll be quick. I'm just going to drop you off.
Get to know each other. Although if I was 21, again, I feel like such an old lady. But if I had a 21-year-old sister, I'd be like, don't get in a car with this dude. You just met him.
You haven't met him in person. Like, I've been watching Criminal Minds. Don't do that.
Don't do it. Right. Don't let him take you to a second location.
Right. Exactly. Now to the first date. I meet up with the girl. Again, we'll call her Kat. Kat decided to bring her 1-year-old daughter for the date because no one was available to watch her, which is fine to me because she seems to be well-mannered and so young and didn't react to being around a stranger in any negative way. So good points in my book. We go to the mall to look around. Girl, I know.
Christina and I are like,
there's so much more. There's so much more for you guys to be upset about.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We get to the mall, look around, and maybe do some shopping. The moment that we enter, Kat finds some jeans that she really likes and wants to go to the dressing room, try them on. However, she decides to leave me holding her child.
No, Kat, what are you doing?
While she changes.
No.
She doesn't stay in the changing room for like 2 to 3 minutes. She's in the side for like 15 minutes. To the point, I'm getting paranoid that she left the mall and left me with her child. I contemplated finding an officer to have them take the child after paranoia really started setting in, as well as after 5 minutes, the baby started crying profusely, and I'm having a hard time remembering this child's name.
Kat, listen to me. Kat, if you're listening, you need to watch more episodes of Dateline. Because clearly you haven't gotten it through your head that you cannot leave your small child with a man that you have met one time.
Right?
You can't do that.
You cannot do that. I am literally, my skin is crawling now.
Here's my 1-year-old child. I'll
Absolutely
be back.
not.
15 minutes later.
Also, what are you doing in the dressing room for 15 minutes?
Thank you. That's what he's like. This isn't like a 2 or 3 minute go try on some jeans. Like, where are you at? He's like, I'm having a hard time remembering the child's name. I literally met her and learned her name only a few hours prior.
Why didn't
so
she
the store
take
clerk
the kid with her in her in the dressing room?
It's doable. Done it.
Yeah.
So the store clerk, who was female, who are female, are wanting to console the child and ask me her name. And there was a moment to pause to remember that made me feel very suspicious against myself.
Yeah. I love that. I love this person. Like, he is so self-aware.
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
I'm suspicious of myself right now.
I appreciate him.
Yeah, actually, this is a really self-aware 24-year-old.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what happens when you get married. You've lived a life.
yeah.
Okay?
Amen.
However, finally, Kat returns and her child has calmed down in her arms, but I don't want to go shopping anymore because I'm embarrassed and decide that we should just leave. We then decide that we should go grab something to eat before I take her home, but we take our time finding something to eat while we both sort of explore the city of Tampa and its beauties. After about an hour of driving around and enjoying each other's good company, we go grab some food and decide that we'll just go to a drive-in movie before we both go home. I take her to her house that she shares with her father and sister, and she leaves me inside the car with her child again while she grabs something real quick.
I think she wants her child to be kidnapped. Because, like, now you've left your kid in a running car with someone you don't know. You're like, I'll be back.
He literally puts a red flag and says, ladies, please don't ever do that. No matter how trustworthy someone is, you never know.
You don't know him.
Wow.
Ma'am.
Right? Once again, Kat is taking kind of a long time and her baby begins to cry again. As I try to console her, Kat returns in tears and tells me that her father has just kicked her out of the house.
Oh, my God.
No. Oh my God. Dude, is he going on a date with Casey Anthony?
Oh
like,
my God.
legitimately. My
Right?
God.
Oh, I know. Cat, the baby shouldn't be around strangers in his eyes, but it had more to do than that, I'm certain. And she is.
This is a lie.
Uh-huh.
This is not true.
Yeah,
because, like,
exactly.
your dad is not going to kick you out of the house for letting the baby be around strangers whenever he knows that means the baby is going to be around strangers.
right.
Like, why would your
Right.
dad do that?
Right.
And she is at the moment now homeless. I pack her stuff into my trunk and I drive her somewhere so she can breathe and explain what happened. Her father assaulted her and kicked her and the baby pretty much out of the house, and she has nowhere to live. Her mom this is first date, ladies. First fucking date.
Absolutely fucking
Her mom
not.
won't
I'm
accept
sorry.
her in her home, and her only hope is a sister that lives in New York that hasn't fully decided yet whether she can move in.
You
Just
are
in
not
case-
living with me,
If
ma'am.
he drives her from Tampa fucking Florida to New York, that would be the
You're
best
like,
first
fuck
date
this.
ever.
I'm
Just
sorry.
in case, though, she has to make the has me take the child over to her father's house so that he can raise her while she gets on her feet again. He says no. So the baby's father's like, nah, not interested. No good reason, but he isn't going to take in his own baby at the moment and just wants to be a deadbeat. Finally, the New York sister says she can come to New York, but she has to wait a day before she can come so she can get
Bullshit.
furniture for her and the child. I decide to let her stay at my place for a
Honey.
night because I just don't want to see a mother and child homeless.
Sweet baby. I
Oh
want to
my
hold his precious cherub
God.
face and just say, like, she's playing you, sir.
Yeah.
She's playing
You better fucking hide your valuables.
I try to lighten the mood a bit with jokes and movies, and it worked a bit, but eventually we finally began going to bed. And I think my crazy first date and how I'm going to immediately ghost her after this is all said and done. We go to bed at about 11 p.m. and just as one little final sprinkle to make the entire day more shitty, as we're sleeping, me against her near the window of my room, her baby in front of her, my window begins to opening and someone is trying to break in. She clenches her baby tightly and I jump out of my bed, grab a machete I keep in my closet. I hear a voice and I
'Cause he's
recognize
24.
it's my brother. He locked himself out of the house and I couldn't hear him knocking on the door. So he thought I wasn't home and knew sometimes I leave my window unlocked. As I get back in bed, Kat pushes me off the bed in embarrassment. She saw me grab the machete and thought her life was in danger and pissed herself. Maybe.
Okay, also, I'm sorry. There's so much to dissect here, but also can we address that like every 25-year-old or 24-year-old man has a fucking machete?
That
like
sounds right.
My ex had a machete. I'm like, what? Why?
Is this maybe the dating scene just isn't for me just yet? What an eventful day. Eventful is like the last word.
What an eventful day.
What a precious angel. Like, honestly, he seems like a sweetheart. Like, doesn't he seem like such a
Yes.
sweetie? Like, he was just trying to do the right thing.
Oh my God.
I love this person. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Could you fucking imagine?
It's
She's like, oh my God, he's going to kill me.
But also, like, why would that be her first inclination? I don't know.
I mean, especially, if you left your baby with him, like, throughout the fucing evening.
You're
like,
sleeping with your baby and some dude on a bed.
Can you fucking imagine?
No, and you can cut this if you want to, but I was staying at my friend's house, and I had my son with me, and I was sleeping on his couch, and one of his brother's friends had come home, and I woke up to him trying to fondle me while my Dylan is on this fucking couch bed with me. I was like,
not.
fuck off.
No.
Oh, it was horrible.
I could
Fucking
never,
horrible.
I couldn't, like, it's very weird to me. And again, he seems like a sweetheart. It seems like he was trying to be respectful.
Oh, yeah. No,
And
this
things-
guy in the state.
This guy in this state, not the guy you're talking about. This guy in this state sounds like he was trying to be respectful and everything. But as a mom, I would be like, okay, we're going to go sleep on the couch because I'm not putting my 1-year-old in a bed with a stranger regardless.
No.
Exactly.
Never.
No.
Absolutely not.
Oh, my God.
What a mess.
Ooh, what an eventful day.
What an eventful day.
What an eventful day. I'm going to start saying that when shit goes like really
So
wrong.
south.
What an eventful day.
Oh, bless your heart.
So, my crazy in love, I told both of you guys, I was fucking convinced that I had done before. I think it's just been on my radar for a long time and that I've read a lot about it. There's a movie starring Jack Black and Matthew McConaughey and Shirley MacLaine called
God.
Bernie.
Oh my God, yes. Okay, I never saw it, but it was on my list to watch for forever because I heard that like Jack Black was actually really good in it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I want to watch this.
Yes. Okay. So obviously I've watched the movie, and then a lot of my sources are from the Texas Monthly. Skip Hollingsworth actually helped write the fucking screenplay with Richard Linklater.
Also, the Texas Monthly is mwah.
Oh yeah. So the article is Midnight in the Garden of East Texas.
Ooh, yes.
And then there's another article called How My Aunt Marge Ended Up in the Freezer.
Aunt Marge from Texas. I am here for
I can't wait. I know nothing about this story. Nothing. This is wild. Okay.
So I'm going to set the scene. Okay. March 1990.
Oh my gosh. That's the month and year that I was born.
There you go.
How exciting.
Well, elderly Marjorie Nugent mourns as her husband, wealthy Hal Nugent, is laid to rest. Oldest daughter of prominent merchant Spencer Midyett, her next sibling was 12 years younger. She was said to take after her father. She was cold, exacting, and ruthless.
Ooh.
Her husband worked for Mobil, and they traveled a lot while married, but when ready to retire, they moved back to her hometown of Carthage, and they bought the bank there. Her sister lived there, and her son wasn't far, but neither spoke to her. She didn't ingratiate herself to the town either.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah.
Your family won't talk to you.
Yeah, townspeople claim
your
she was
family
mean.
in Texas won't talk to you.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like Texas
Well, that
families
just
are
could mean you're
tight.
liberal.
And this is East Texas though, which is funny. They have this
More Midwestern.
part in the movie where they break down the sections of Texas, where they're like, you have that small area of like Houston, you got the middle of Texas, which is like the People's Republic of Austin.
Of course, Austin.
In North Texas is Dallas and all the Dallas money and stuff like that.
The
and then
only place I'd live in Texas is Austin.
West Texas is
San
like
Antonio.
Tex-Mex and stuff like that, but then there's East Texas, which definitely has a very Midwest meets Southern vibe.
Yeah, because East Texas. So I'm from Southern Missouri, and it's kind of the same thing where you have
where it meets
this
Oklahoma.
you have this Midwest and Southern vibe.
Sure.
People who are not from the United States, I'm sure, are very confused by our different like regions and sections and like what that all means.
Right.
But yeah, like there is a very distinctive Southern Midwest. It's its own kind of thing.
Well, that's what I always think about, like, with people that live in Europe. I'm like, what if you guys were one big country? Like, because that is what, like, the United States is with, like, the different cultures and the different things inside, because our country is so big, so vast.
Yeah.
and
Accent's
everything.
very-
Well, think
like,
about
yeah.
my family's country is very small, probably the size of Kentucky as far as size, right? So Belgium. And my family is from the Wallonia region, which is like the southern part of this tiny little country. And they don't like to associate themselves with Flemish speaking Belgium. My grandfather is like, we are French speaking Belgium. We are, I mean, and they wanted to, I mean, so
It's
think
wild
about that.
to me,
It's
the
wild.
divisions that people create that are so arbitrary.
Yeah,
Like, it's so dumb
exactly.
to be like, we're better because we speak a different language. Like, fucking chill.
Right.
But okay. Also, I want to say, I'm not trying to piss off our Texas listeners.
Yeah.
No.
At all. Like, Texas is a really cool place, but just because of me and my politics, Austin is kind of like the place to be.
Right.
You
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
But like all of Texas is cool. Like, if you are not from the United States and you are coming to the US and you have like a big chunk of time, I would say spend a little bit of time everywhere, because different
So much.
parts of the country are like different countries. They're
Exactly.
like completely, they have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
As someone who was raised in the Southwest, but also has family in like Creole, Louisiana, and then spent, lived a large chunk of my life in like southern southern Midwest, different.
All different.
Yeah.
All different.
Yeah. So like a direct quote from like the town is basically like, Marjorie was so snobby, her nose was so far up in the air that she drowned herself in a rainstorm.
I hate her.
And
That's such a Texas
That's such a
thing to say.
Texas thing, right? So her own family didn't even speak to her, and now she's completely alone. So 5 years earlier, a new resident moves into Carthage, Texas. Bernhardt Tiede II began working at the local funeral home, and townspeople describe him as peachy and sweet.
This
Oh my God.
this sounds like, of course it was made into a movie.
Of course. Of course it was.
Bernhard,
Bernhardt.
and he works as a funeral
Yep.
director. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
In Texas, great.
Plenty of women would have been interested in dating him, and he had a lot of older female friends, but he showed no interest in dating. Rumors and innuendo started saying he was light in the loafers, in quotes,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it didn't matter. Despite the conservative nature of Carthage, he quickly became one of its most popular residents.
Everyone loves, kind of like a eccentric character.
No, he was somebody that literally, like, quotes about him were like, he literally was the most giving person, like in his personality and also just with his time, his attention, and with gifts and stuff. Like he would go to the store and he would see something, he would buy himself one, but then he'd also buy a couple more to give other people. And like he was that person that just like, he would shake hands, he would say hi to everyone he passed in the street. And like small town Carthage, Texas, population 6,500, and like he was the tenor soloist in church choir. He taught Sunday school. He was involved at the drama department at the local college.
About to go south.
Everybody knew him. He quickly became the most popular guy in town. Everyone
And we've all
loved
met
him.
people like that. See, like there's something about them that's just so like enigmatic and like magnetic for sure.
Exactly. So yeah, he was somebody that was kind of a tragic figure too, because his mother died in a car wreck when he was 3, and his father died when he was only 15.
Wow.
So to support himself and his little sister, he took an after-school job at a funeral home, and he began to feel that it was his calling to serve people in times of need. Like he felt like he was drawn to that career because not only was he exceptionally good as a cosmetician for the dead and doing their hair and makeup and making them look natural, but he was just a natural at comforting the families, of doing everything in the service. He had a voice like an angel, so they would hire him as like a soloist to sing Amazing Grace and stuff, and he was just like made for this career.
I have to say that I think that job is so undervalued and underrated because, as someone who's gone to several like open casket funerals, making that body look human and it is so important, because I've definitely gone to like open caskets where I'm like, that doesn't look like them.
Yeah.
And then it feels very distressing. It's almost more distressing.
Right.
So it's I'm sure a very difficult job to have, but it's so valuable.
Yeah. So he noticed need right away in Marjorie. He knew her reputation around town and said that
he loves a good fixer-upper.
Yeah.
He loves mess.
Said that he felt awful that she would be alone and without friends, which is like an unimaginable thing to Bernie, somebody that like didn't meet anyone that wasn't his friend. So he lent her his coat during the funeral, which she wore home, and that's where their relationship started. This wasn't unusual. Bernie was like that with a lot of grieving widows, visiting them weeks after the funeral, offering to help with small errands like going to the drugstore, etc. But also, Carthage was full of well-to-do widows who inherited small fortunes from their rich husbands. So he became
an opportunity.
Right. Yes. He became the only person who took an active interest in Marjorie's well-being. He would come over for lunch, leave little notes around the house of endearment, take her to see plays, and she rewarded his interests almost immediately, a week after the funeral, with a Rolex watch. Soon, that was like $12,000.
Which is more expensive than any watch should be. Can we address?
Yeah, and also his yearly salary at that point was $18,000.
What?
Hey, that's nothing. Oh, it's 1990.
Yeah,
still.
but still.
Okay, but still.
In today's
Right.
money, that's $30,000.
Right, still not a lot. Yeah.
So soon after, in 1991, she ordered officials at her bank to start accepting checks from her account signed by Bernie. It wasn't long before he was spending every single moment of his free time with her, to the upset and consternation of the town's other widows.
I'm sorry. Like, that's their concern. They're like, Bernie's not spending enough time with me.
Yeah, because he did. That was like his free time. He would just go in and check in. And so there was like a lot of widows in this town.
Dude, I can't wait to watch this movie, Bernie.
I'm going to watch the shit
so
out of it.
good.
It sounds so good. I can't imagine being this kind of person when I get old. I hope I'm not like this, where I'm just like, I need the attention of this eccentric funeral home director.
Exactly.
I hope I have more shit going on.
Yeah, he's in his early 30s at this point, and Marjorie's in her late 70s.
I hope that I have shit happening in my life, even when I'm in my late 70s. I hope I'm busy. You know what I mean? Hope we have a Golden Girls situation happening.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like,
word spread around town even more when they booked a cruise and only got one cabin.
oh, honey. Okay. So hold on. So in the movie, is it Shirley MacLaine and Jack Black?
Yes.
I love this.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes, it's and I fucking love Shirley MacLaine.
So do I.
Same.
That
So
weird old lady.
much.
I fucking love her.
And she's going to play that smarmy ass bitch
Perfect.
so well.
Yeah. They were even seen holding hands around town, but Bernie was quick to say he did it because Marjorie wobbled when she walked.
I mean, that's real cute, but you know what? That alone, I'd be like, I'm inclined to believe you, Bernie, but you want to explain the one cabin?
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck you need one cabin?
Yeah, and especially he wasn't dating anyone else. They're just like,
But what if time out.
it's a small
Why does
town.
anybody give a fuck?
Because it's
Because it's a small town.
and
That's
there's
exactly right.
6,500 people in there. They all know each other. Like Bernie's a relatively new person, even though he's super popular
Right.
and lots of
Yes.
people love him, and everyone hates Marjorie. They're
Yes.
still like, it's something to talk about.
as
People are
someone-
going to have opinions.
Once again, Southern Midwest, as somebody who lived in a 3,000 person town in the Southern Midwest region, everybody would be in on this.
Dude,
For sure.
yeah, vacuuming grass is a small town America pastime. Dude.
Absolutely.
And
For real.
especially you throw money into the mix.
Exactly.
My old neighbor, I swear to God, that's all she did was vacuum grass. That bitch would be like, "Psst, come over here. I got something to tell you." I'm like, what? And I was so annoyed by it because I could not give two fucks about any
Right.
small town politics or give a shit about anybody at all there. Like, I was just like, fuck, whatever. Like,
yeah.
but she's like,
No,
So
are
and so
you
is
kidding
blah,
me?
blah, blah.
If I went over, if I'm in West Texas, or sorry, East Texas. If I'm in East Texas and somebody like invites me over to their wraparound porch to sit down
Yeah.
and have a pitcher of lemonade and talk about
Neighbors.
this shit,
Yeah. Oh,
I
I'm
am
here for it.
in it.
The best part of the movie is they make it's filmed like a mockumentary.
Amazing.
So they interview quote unquote townspeople.
It's like a best in show situation.
Amazing.
And
It's like a Waiting for Guffman.
Yes.
Love it.
So fucking
I'm
funny.
so into
My
it.
favorite part of the movie is actually this one like East Texas woman or whatever, and they're asking her opinions on it and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just like, I fucking love this woman so much. It was
I
so
can't
funny.
wait.
There is something like I don't know that I will ever live in a small town again, but when people ask me if they're like, living in a small town must be so terrible, and it's like there are things about it that are terrible. Like it's not always great that everybody is in your business, but there's like really fun, interesting shit about living in a small town because
What is that stuff?
You do get to know people.
It's community in a way that's
you don't if you live in a big city.
Yeah.
So like you do know and I understand that like that is unappealing to a lot of people, but
I'm over here like
there is an element that is appealing about that.
about a community.
Yeah.
if your community is diverse.
Correct. If your
community is diverse and not just a bunch of whiskey tango jacked up truck driver. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
Like it's just
the way
so
you said that
fucking-
was like you're trying not to get like zucked on Facebook. You're like, how can I say this in a way that isn't going to get me in Facebook jail for 3 days?
Yes,
Whiskey
exactly.
tango.
So, money wise for Bernie, it had to have been a nice upgrade. He's not making that much at his job. He had bills to pay. And Marjorie was pulling in $300,000 a year in just her oil and gas royalties. That's it. That's not including her like bank stuff or anything. She's
In 1990.
In 1990,
30
she was
years ago. Yeah.
a multimillionaire. So in 1993, Bernie quit his job to become Marjorie's full-time business manager and escort. Friends warned him as they began to see how possessive she was of him. She bought him a pager, and he literally had to be at her beck and call morning and
She's
night.
like, I want what I paid for, bitch.
I mean, for real, it sounds like it's kind of like a
I
sugar
want my
baby,
money's worth.
sugar mama relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but wouldn't work for me. I
Yeah.
can't be tamed.
Super, super possessive. He had to go over and make her coffee every morning. He was expected to be back around lunch to take her to lunch.
I'm going to say it. If I'm the Shirley MacLaine character in this character situation, that's what I want too.
But you can hire people to make your coffee.
I did.
But
I hired Bernie.
Exactly. That's
Honey,
what she
no,
did.
I hired you.
And the hours are 24/7.
Yeah,
don't
sorry.
like that.
And that's the thing is that friends had said that they warned him and he's like, I can't leave her alone. He felt torn.
But I understand that as somebody who I often, and yes, he needs to go to a therapist to work on appropriate boundaries. But I get getting wrapped up in you're a highly empathetic person. You're getting wrapped up in somebody else's feelings.
Also the money, the vast amounts of money, because it wasn't long after that she changed her will and left him everything.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Having
I
done
want my motherfucking morning coffee. I left you everything.
having done the research and having watched the movie, is it your opinion that he was so devoted to her because of the money or because he had a genuine?
I think it's a mix. I think the money was good. I think personally, and we'll talk about it at the end because there are a lot of people, especially the people that prosecuted them, that are he was a fucking con man that went after wealthy widows that wanted the money, and he's pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. He's a psychopath. And then there are a vast majority of people who are like, no, he's an angel. This woman was fucking evil, and he just snapped. So I'll let you guys
All right, yeah.
get it through the end, see what you think. So she changed her will to leave him everything, and he didn't want to risk her wrath by abandoning her. And then the world traveling began. They went to Egypt, Russia, Europe,
Love it.
the Orient,
Great.
and New York.
Here we go.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I am kind of with Cassie where I'm like, all right, well, I'll wake up and make your fucking coffee. That's fine.
Exactly.
If you're taking me to fucking
We're traveling the
Egypt,
world.
Yeah.
The
I'll
world.
even fuck you for this. You're going to give me your money. We're going to travel the world. Here
And
we
what?
go.
I mean, not to be this person, but it's like, how many years do you really have to do this for?
Exactly.
I mean, like,
She's like close in her 80s now.
Right. What, 10, 15 more years maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I can find another wife. I'm going to have all that money.
Yeah, you're in your early 30s. You know what? You're going to have a whole life after she's gone. You're fine. Yeah.
This is fine.
So he bought himself a 2-bedroom house not far from her estate. And
oh, wow. How humble. A 2-bedroom.
Just
exactly.
A little small place.
2-bedroom house that he decorated with penguins.
Excuse me, what?
My God.
Is that real?
Yes.
That's real?
Yes.
I think I love him. He's so precious.
No.
I mean, yes.
When you absolutely fucking not.
When you read the articles, I mean, okay, so then
that makes him charming to me. And Cassie's like, he's a fucking
Psycho.
serial killer.
Yeah.
He literally started to become the town's Robin Hood. He started slipping money from Marjorie's account to anyone he thought needed help. Mm-hmm. He bought 10 cars for people who couldn't afford one. He bought a house for a struggling young couple. He provided college scholarships to local kids.
Okay, I love him.
He pledged $100,000 to the church fund. He led the fundraising campaign for the Boy Scouts. He bought a trophy shop so it could stay open to make trophies for the school sports teams
I'm a
next
trophy.
year.
I'm a trophy, so I therefore
is
am also
fitting.
going to make trophies.
Listen, I know that there are moral arguments about like this isn't your money, it's technically stealing, et cetera, but I'm just like, listen, if somebody has that much money where they're not even missing it for you to be able to do all this stuff, then they can afford to do it. And like
and everything I found about where the money went, it went to other people.
Right. It's not to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He literally spent millions of dollars on the town and on the town's people. He opened a clothing store called Boot Scootin' Western Wear.
Nope.
I mean,
I don't like
I'm
that.
almost,
That's what I say when my dog used to rub his butt against the floor. Is boot scooting.
Boot Scootin'.
I'm on board so far. I know that this is going to go south. Okay. I know that it's not going to end well for either one of these people. But up until this point, I'm like, you know what? He sounds like a good dude.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you're like, well, I'm about to ruin that for you.
Thanksgiving 1996. Bernie goes to celebrate the holiday to his sister's house alone.
Oh no, Marjorie is not going to like that.
He said Marjorie had decided to spend time in Ohio with her one sister she was still speaking to.
Nope.
Christmas came, and Bernie said she's still in Ohio.
No.
Early spring had people randomly calling her and being like there's this guy Tiller that was in charge of her stocks and stuff like that. He's like calling and being like, do you want to do this? And she's like, he goes, oh, she's in bed sick. She's not accepting visitors.
Also, how hated is this woman that like we're talking Christmas to spring. So what, 4 months have passed?
Late spring. He claimed that she had actually gone to a nursing home and she was recovering from a stroke. And no one really minded.
Wow.
And 9 months pass without anybody seeing Marjorie or even caring, because during this whole time, Bernie's still on his spending spree.
Yeah,
with
he's
the
like,
town.
I giveth
So much. He's doing things like he would take like the local production of Guys and Dolls out to dinner and pay for the whole thing. He's like buying uniforms for the local little league team.
I gotta see this motherfucker.
Like everything. Yeah. Like, and everyone's like, Bernie's an angel. He's a literal angel. So no one cares that they don't see Marjorie anymore because Marjorie was a bitch and no one liked her. So, you know,
they're
at the
like,
end of the day,
fine.
they're like, this is actually fine. And not only that, but like one of the things they hated about Marjorie is that there were other wealthy widows in the town, not as wealthy as Marjorie, but who would go to church and who would like participate in civic activities that were part of the community. Not that they like gave their money away the same way that Bernie was giving Marjorie's money away, but that contributed.
Yeah.
And their biggest problem with Marjorie is they felt like she was stingy.
She's a fucking Scrooge.
And a Scrooge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, she wasn't missed. But finally, Tiller, the guy that's her stock person, is like, I've been trying to get her fucking signature on these things for so long. I just need to get her fucking signature. Like, where is she? In a nursing home? Whatever. And that's what finally cracks it, where like the police contact her son and like, hey, when's the last time you heard from your mother? And he's like, fuck if I know. Like,
he's like, I don't give a shit about that old bat.
So they go to the house.
I wish I hadn't said that. I'm sorry.
They go to the house and they search it and they find a chest freezer in the garage that's taped shut. And they're like,
Bernie, honey.
They're like, that's
Bernhard.
weird. And underneath a layer of Marie Callender's chicken pot pies.
It. I love those. They're so good. You're ruining them for me.
Is the body of Marjorie wrapped in a Land's End sheet, completely frozen solid.
Oh, so Land's End, even
nice sheet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even in death, like didn't sacrifice that 1,000 thread count.
So they have to hire a generator so that they can keep the freezer plugged in to take her to Dallas for the autopsy. And that's where they thaw her out and figure out that she had been shot 4 times in the back.
Oof,
and as soon as
the back.
Yeah. As soon as they confront Bernie about that, he immediately confesses. To him, he said she had become so possessive and so like evil,
controlling.
Like with her comments to him, like constantly, that he's like, I don't know what happened. Like the gun was right there in the garage because she had bought it for him months previously for him to shoot armadillos. And so he's like, she said something.
I'm sorry.
And
pause.
Wait.
Hold on. Why are we shooting armadillos?
I know.
Aren't they kind of harmless?
Yeah.
Do they have an armor?
Marjorie was
They
like,
do, but
bottom of fucking 22 to shoot armadillos. It was right there within reach, and she said something fucking nasty, and he snapped and shot her in the back.
All right, real question. Maybe not. Actually, go ahead. We'll discuss this after.
Okay. So, the DA at the time, Danny Buck, Matt, is like eating at literally, this is a real place called like Daddy's like barbecue and catfish.
Of course,
or whatever. And he's eating there. He's going to fucking charge him with murder. It's murder. And the townspeople start giving Danny Buck so much shit.
Of course.
They're like,
welcome to a small town.
they're like, how can you charge Bernie with murder?
They're like, look at him.
Everyone knew she was a bitch. She probably deserved it. And like, I hope I'm on the jury because he'll be acquitted. Like legitimately.
Okay, well, you can't tell him that if that's what you want.
Yeah. The town was like, we will acquit him. Like, she must have brought it on herself.
Guys.
Isn't that crazy?
Guys, again, you have not watched enough Dateline, because if you had, you would not tell the sheriff that, because if that's what you really want to happen, it's not going to happen now, because now he's going to
move
go
it to a different.
he's going to go out of county.
Exactly. And they were like, it's usually the other way around. It's like when people are arguing that you can't get a fair trial in a place, it's usually because you're so fucking hated that there's no way that the defendant can get a fair trial. And it was like, they had to move it because there was no way the state would get, because everyone was like,
listen,
nope. Like,
Cassie and I just looked at pictures of him, and he does look like a mustachioed teddy bear. So
He does look like a mustachioed teddy bear.
I'm like, I get it.
Yeah. So they go, and his basic, like, his argument is that he snapped. They're trying to argue that, like, during the original confession, he had been like, well, yeah, I mean, of course I thought about sometimes, like, hitting her in the head with a bat, you know, when she would say these mean things, you know, but then I didn't want her to be hurt. And they were like, at one point, like, one of the things that he spent so much money on was he got his pilot's license, and he always wanted to fly, and he bought planes, and he bought like an airplane hangar. And they had said, like, if he had taken her body up into one of his planes and dumped her out over the Gulf of Mexico, like, he never would have been prosecuted. They could not have prosecuted him.
They would have never found the body.
If she had just disappeared.
Yeah, I have to
You know what I
say,
mean? There were different ways that he could have gotten away with it.
And so to the people who say that he's a psychopath, granted, I am not an expert in this field in any way, but like, it doesn't feel that way to me. It doesn't feel like this is somebody who callously premeditated this murder to get money or anything like that. It doesn't feel like that. That's not
Why,
to say that
generous?
he did
not
did
just because he was
to-
generous, but because he made a lot of mistakes. Like he made mistakes. Like, because the way he
it's
handled
not calculated
this
enough.
doesn't feel at all like he thought he was going to be able to, it wasn't sustainable.
Right.
Like continuing to come up with lies about where she is and what's happening. She's sick in bed. She's visiting someone in Ohio. Like that,
right. And
those
he
aren't
could have
good.
also absconded. He could have taken her money and gotten the fuck out of Dodge after he killed her. He could have, there's so many different ways where I'm like, he could have gotten away with it if he did this, and this. But it just didn't feel to me when I'm reading the story that he was, I think that he very much enjoyed living the life
Sure.
style that Marjorie provided, where he got to travel and got to.
And it sounds like he enjoyed being well-liked.
Being well-liked and buying people's affection and making them happy. I think that was his fucking drug, you know?
Right. And I don't want us to lose sight of, because he does seem like a very likable person. Like, likable people can do really terrible things too, and they can be very calculated. And so there's nothing to say that like he wasn't, like he didn't do this stuff, you know, premeditated in a very calculated way, because like maybe he did, you know, we don't really know. And at the end of the day, he did kill somebody and keep them in a freezer in a garage for 9 months, which is horrifying.
Right.
Yeah.
And he knows it's bad enough that he's hiding food over her.
Yes, and he's hiding it from everyone. It's not like he had this horrible moment where he snapped and he shot her and then he turned himself
for
in.
9 months lied to everybody when he would go out, you know, because people had become, you know, for a few years he was able to get her out of the house. He was able to get her to come to church with him. He was able to go to local like college productions of musicals and stuff with her. So when people did ask like, oh, where's Marjorie? Like he lied for 9 months, and he lied so convincingly that people were just like, oh,
right.
okay.
Which
like,
that does say something. Like the fact, like we can say like he seems like a nice guy and all of these things, but like I do think it takes a certain personality to be able to dissociate yourself to the point where you can very easily and convincingly lie to everyone around you.
That you said that. Because, so he was convicted, and he was convicted of life in prison. People found out about this case, specifically Richard Linklater, that was like, oh my God, that's like Fargo in Texas. Like, I want to make a movie out of it. So, like, they go to Carthage and they film this fucking movie. And, you know, they get Jack Black, who interviews him, like this whole thing. An investigator.
Jack Black is also perfect for like I haven't seen the movie, but like from your description and
the
knowing
pictures.
Jack Black and the pictures, I'm like, he's fucking perfect.
It's really, I
He's
cannot
so
wait for you
likable.
guys to see this movie. It's really good.
Okay.
So, this investigator ends up like talking to Bernie and looks back over the files, looks back over like what they confiscated from the house, and finds out that they had confiscated a whole bunch of surviving sexual abuse as a child books in his house. And so they're like, she's like, Bernie, like, what is this about? And that's when he reveals like a long history of really terrible sexual abuse as a child.
For
and so
him.
for
That happened
him.
to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like psychiatrists go and interview him now, and they're like, oh, like we've never seen somebody that's able to literally compartmentalize and dissociate so much from trauma and literally like bury it deep inside, that they are convinced that
She triggered him.
She triggered, and he like had a state, and then like was like, oh, I'll just put it in the freezer, and then it doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's in the freezer. It's literally compartmentalized.
Sure.
And I can go about my life, and everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's
And
fine.
I can just suppress it. Anytime that thing comes up, that those thoughts come up, I can just suppress them.
Right.
Ooh.
So that leads him to be granted a new trial. There's some other evidence that comes out that they're like, okay, like this is all stuff that should have been brought up in the first trial. So they let him out on bail, and he ends up living in the garage of Richard Linklater.
No. What? Stop.
Yes. Who is like, this man is a fucking angel. Like, I let him babysit my kids.
No.
Like, this guy
Absolutely
is
not.
incredible. Like,
Well, here's the thing, though.
he was
Here's
a
the
model
thing.
prisoner while he was in prison. Like, legitimately, like, everyone loved him in prison.
Look, I think that he is probably genuinely a nice guy. However, if you are able to dissociate
All I'm
and
going to say is Anne
compartmentalize-
Rule Ted Bundy.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, like there's a possibility that he is a psychopath. I don't necessarily think that he's a psychopath. However, I do think that he clearly has some unresolved shit that has allowed him to compartmentalize things and dissociate, which is scary.
Yeah,
and
where
I
he's
wouldn't
like, he
allow
cannot
him
deal with negativity.
No.
He cannot, in a healthy way, deal with.
He would not be looking after my children without me
No.
present, and it's not because he's not a nice guy and a likable guy, because those things can exist.
Yeah.
Like those two dichotomies can exist, but without getting treatment and therapy and like dealing with that shit, what's to say he's not going to snap and do something that he doesn't mean to do again? Like he could.
Yeah. Well, he went back to trial again for the crime and was convicted again. And so many people were just like, with this new evidence, what they were seeking to do was like, it shouldn't have been a life sentence. It should have been involuntary manslaughter or something like that.
Right, because you have a psychological issue.
Right.
A temporary insanity kind of like snapped.
Where he should have been. And even the judge in the first trial was like, you know what, if I had known this information, like my sentencing would have been lighter. So that was like a big part of it, where he was like, I probably would have sentenced him to 20 years, which would have meant at that point that he'd be close to
getting
being
out,
paroled.
time
Anyways,
served.
exactly.
So the second trial, what did he get?
Life again. So he is still in prison.
Wow. You know, I don't know. This is a really complicated case because, like, in my opinion, I do think that I think people are really, really, really complicated.
Right.
And I think I don't think anyone is necessarily lying. I don't think that necessarily he's a psychopath. I think he can be a genuinely good person, kind person, and also have done something that he needs to take responsibility for.
Right.
Yeah.
And get fucking help for, because quite obviously he's sick. Like, he's got like problems. Like, he needs to just deal with like his trauma.
But like,
because not everybody who's experienced trauma does things like that.
Yeah, yeah. And what's so crazy is that I'm just like, can you imagine a whole town hating you so much that they, in East Texas, where they don't take kindly to back shooters, that they're willing,
they'll pick an outsider over you.
that they're willing to be like, and especially conservative East Texas, for somebody who is LGBTQ, and they fucking loved him. They still do. They still are just like, he was incredible. He was an angel. He still has supporters. They held fundraisers for his defense fund.
I think we have a really hard time dealing with the fact that that two things can exist at once.
Right.
And that you can be a really good, I mean, we see it all the time in everyday life. I see it all the time with my friends who have been abused by people, or sexually abused by people, where people come out of the woodwork and say, well, he was always nice to me. Okay. That doesn't, just because he was nice to you doesn't mean that he wasn't also abusive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
People can exist they can be very complicated.
Right.
And like, there can be two different sides to people. And I think we have a really hard time accepting that.
And
You're either a devil or an angel. There's no in between. You know?
I chose this as a Crazy in Love because of like the multitude of quotes from people and from Bernie and from Marjorie's family, and that like there seemed to be like a deep love between them, that people were like, when she was out with him, were like literally the only times that we saw her smile and everything. And of course, all the rumors about like whether or not he truly did love her back or was trying to pull a sweetheart scam or what have you.
I think,
and so I think,
in my opinion, I think maybe he had genuine affection for her.
Yeah. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who could do a sweetheart scam.
I think he got pulled in by the lifestyle, pulled in by the money,
well, and also
the ability to be like Mr. Big Man, giving the town all this stuff.
And
like,
also what hits me is like, he he wanted to fix her. He wanted to help her. He saw somebody that like no one else liked. No one else wanted to be around. And with people like that, like people who are very like empathetic and want to help, which it sounds like is somebody that he was like, or is, it seems like that would be perfect for him. He's like, no one else wants to be around this person. I can be that person for this person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so,
because for me, if he was pulling a long con, because there are other people who are like, the only people that he was really hanging out and giving all that attention to were these wealthy widows. You know what I mean? So was he trying to get that money?
Okay, that's
But
valid.
the thing of it is that it was beyond just the wealthy widows. Like everyone in town was like, this person was so kind-hearted, and in prison he's maintained the same. So I'm like, if you can maintain that veneer so well that literally every single person that comes into contact with you, like either you're the most accomplished psychopath of all time,
because it's not slipping even for a second,
or B, it is genuine. It is genuine that you do want to help people. And maybe you get entranced by that amount of money because you feel like you get to help that many more people. So,
right. And you're getting to experience a lifestyle you've never, I mean, even good people, like non-materialistic people, can be taken in by just the fact that like, because here's something that people with a lot of money who've always had a lot of money don't realize. It's like, it takes a toll on poor people to struggle all the time. And when you get a fucking reprieve, it doesn't make you selfish or materialistic or like greedy or any of those things, to just feel good about the fact that you can breathe for a second without
have to worry about where the next paychecks coming in or where, if bills are going to get paid. You can, like, what does a first class flight to Europe feel like? I wouldn't fucking know.
Agree. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Dude,
like,
I went to fucking Korea and I was like squished in between strangers. Like I there is something to be said about that. It's not necessarily you being greedy or money hungry. It's just you being able to fucking like breathe for the first time.
Yep.
You know, and so I don't necessarily blame somebody who wants to hold on to that. But I do agree with you. If this was a calculated long con trying to get her money, why wouldn't you just take the money and go to Mexico?
Or like actually dispose of the body. He had plenty of opportunity. He has own planes. He had...
Yeah, it does feel like compartmentalizing to just put her in the freezer and forget about it rather than take her somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go.
Wow, that's a good one.
Yay! Oh, I'm so excited for you guys.
I can't wait to watch the movie. I can't wait.
It looks so good.
Yeah. Same. What are you guys watching this week?
What am I watching? Oh, Covert Affairs. I started Covert Affairs because we finished White Collar, and I'm just in that like place where I'm watching shit. I love that show.
Oh, right on.
It's oldie but goodie.
I finished I'll Be Gone in the Dark. Let me tell you.
Did you have that one episode? Did you have that breakdown when he's texting her about the coffee on the bed? Oh.
And I have to tell you, I paused it. Oh God, I feel like I'm going to cry right now. Okay. I paused it and I had like a conversation with Anthony because like, yes, what happened with like Patton and their daughter, like we had like full conversations about like all of that and how difficult it is. As someone like Patton said something about like how he saved everything of Michelle's so that he could reveal pieces of her to their daughter Alice.
Yeah.
And that was really hard for me because like as someone whose father died when I was really young, like it's just no matter what you do, it's not enough. It's just, it's never going to be enough because there's just nothing that you can do that is going to be able to make that person real in a real way for that child.
I thought the way that they filmed that was
incredible.
Yeah. And it wasn't salacious. Right. It was respectful and it was really powerful. And I think a lot of us identified it. Anyone that's been through loss, and we all have in some way, like it just hits so hard.
Yeah. And I paused it and I specifically like, and this is what makes me like want to cry right now. Our friend group, you know, we've talked about it a lot. We haven't talked about it as much this year because we haven't been able to see all of our friends this year. But we're very close. And I actually gave the example. I think I used like Christina as an example when I was talking to Anthony, where I was just like, if I lost any one of you that suddenly, like, I know it's not about the friends. Like, there's families, there's children, there's a husband, there's like all of that stuff. But I related to it on a friend level of like not being able to like, wow, like I feel like I'm gonna cry. Like not being able to like say goodbye or like have any
last conversation.
Yeah.
You don't know that like the last time you texted somebody is like the last time.
And
like,
it's also hard in the way I felt like they did her prescription abuse like in such a respectful way too. And it's just like, it's just a reminder that like even the people closest to her didn't realize how much of an issue it is. And it was just a reminder to me, at least, to be like, you know, to try to reach out, you know, it's not to check in and everything, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, like that, if you haven't watched I'll Be Gone in the Dark yet, and you are into true crime in a way that's not, because I can, as someone who has like a personal connection to murder and things like that, like I can sometimes end up getting in my head about like my consumption of true crime and like what does that mean and what does it mean for the victims and like all of those things. If you want something that was handled very respectfully and is also shot incredibly, I'll Be Gone in the Dark was amazing.
So
and
well
also to piggyback on that, Joseph D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer, has been convicted. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. That happened earlier this week. So, you know, it also
26 counts of life.
Yeah, it broke my heart that after all of that work, all of that hard, difficult work that probably very much contributed to her death, that Michelle McNamara was not here to see that happen, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that's really tough. But okay, I really want to talk about this because after I talked about having watched all the dark shit like last week when I was talking about that, Rachel, who is a worstie of ours who's on our Facebook group, she tagged me in a thing where she's like, you and Anthony have to watch Lovecraft Country. And it was on my list to watch anyway on HBO. Oh my God.
Dylan and Chris are watching it.
So I watched the first episode. Yeah. It is so good. It is so well done. I was like, I don't know how they're going to balance like the sci-fi element, you know, with all of this other stuff that's been going on in this show. Wow. Incredible.
It had a real Watchmen vibe to it.
The trailer, I didn't think it was going to be so Watchmen-y, but I watched the trailer. They released another trailer that basically gives you like a little bit of what's going to happen in the season. And it feels very, very Watchmen-esque to me. So I am excited. Courtney B. Vance is in it.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Love him.
Really sweet, I feel like, underrated scene in the beginning with Courtney B. Vance and his wife, Hippolyta, in the beginning where they're in bed together.
Yep.
That just feels so genuine to me. Those two actors deserve a lot of props for the way that scene, it felt like you were peeking into someone's bedroom, and it was very like loving and tender, and I definitely think that you guys should watch Lovecraft Country. So, yeah.
Yay. Well, yeah, I haven't gotten the chance to watch a lot of things. I finally finished Unwell. We only have one episode left, which was about bee sting therapy, which made me want to.
Sorry, what?
Exactly. Exactly. Which made me want to. Literally, there's a woman on this who is the most Instagram woman I have ever seen. She is that woman that lives her life as a fucking influencer for like wellness culture.
Ooh.
And you know what I'm talking about. Like the professional photo shoots, the fucking everything about her is literally like what I hate about social media. And Eric and I were like going to burn our apartment down. We hated this woman together so much. It brought us closer. Actually,
you're like, we've bonded over
married now.
Our mutual hate. I mean, here's the thing about influencers. I actually, for the most part, I'm like, look, we've entered into a new like thing. If you make your money online, I don't really care that much. It's just wellness
there's
culture.
a difference. There's a difference where I'm just like, when you're an influencer who is trying to fucking sell snake oil bullshit,
you're trying to sell me
fucking
skinny
fake
tea and
shit,
like some bullshit like this that's actually going to make people sick.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah,
but when you're talking about an influencer like Chloe Ting or somebody else that's doing it doing or the beauty tutorials or something like that. People that aren't trying to sell something, but people that are just there's just a difference. I'm not slamming hashtag not all influencers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But kind of like goopy, like
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It has that MLM sheen on it. That I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Like
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Burn
it's
it
the
down.
Gwyneth Paltrow
Yes.
effect.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's goopy. Yeah.
Oh, goopy. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Goopy, yeah.
So yeah, between that and Criminal Minds, I think that's our whole week.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna watch Unwell. It keeps popping up. Like literally, my FBI agent is like, "Bitch, you will love this." It keeps popping
so
up on my
entertaining.
Netflix. Like you have to watch
Like,
this thing. Yeah.
I think we're gonna dive into Captive next. That just popped up on Netflix. It's like this documentary series like about true stories of people who have been held captive.
Oh my God, that's my worst fear.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I probably won't be watching that. But I will be watching the show that you told me about, the fucking park, the fucking water park.
Oh yes, we're watching that tomorrow night,
dude.
That
Did you
sounds
watch
amazing.
the trailer for it?
It
Yes,
doesn't come out until the 27th. I thought.
Oh, I thought it was tomorrow night,
Okay.
but maybe not. Maybe it's the
HBO
following
Max.
Sunday. HBO Max. Fucking watch the trailer for it.
What is it like?
It's-
Adventure Park or what is it?
It's called Class Action Park. Oh
my God.
And it's a documentary about this fucking water park called Action Park, where literally so many people died, and he couldn't get insurance, the guy that founded Action Park, so he started his own insurance company
So he could insure
to insure himself.
No, that's
Dude,
not
I
how
can't
this
wait.
works,
I
sweetheart.
can't wait. I
So
can't wait.
fucking
I
late
can't wait.
80s, early 90s bullshit, where it's just like made me think about how janky and ghetto
Literally-
fucking Wyandotte Park was when we
Dude,
were growing
Wyandotte
up.
Lake.
How did any of us survive? I literally don't know how any of us made it through like the 70s, 80s, 90s. I don't know. But I was telling Cassie that whole story reminded me so much of like when we were in Mexico and we went to
totally.
We like took a cab in Puerto Vallarta to a water park. Like we were like, we have nothing to do today in Puerto Vallarta, so we went to a water park and like we did all this shit. But the entire time I was like going down these like massive water slides. I'm like, we're gonna die. Like this shit is gonna fall apart.
No
underneath us.
engineer like worked on this to make sure that it was
Amazing.
safe.
I can't fucking wait,
Literally,
dude.
you have like a pimply 14-year-old who is the person in charge of you going down the slide and shit like that.
Wait for the next turn. Yeah, it's that guy.
Yeah, they were like, dude, we'll watch the trailer when we're done. You guys are gonna,
I can't
shit
wait.
your pants. You're gonna be so excited. Well, if you guys have stuff that we should watch, if you have stories, oh my gosh, please write in stories. If you want to join our Facebook group, any of that stuff, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstatepodcast.com. And we love you guys so much. Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.